My roommate got a pet giant African land snail for our apartment even though we already had a bunny, a dog, and her 2 cats which she was practically starving, and the cherry on top is that the snail is literally illegal in the US. Hi. Throwaway account because I don't want to confront this issue with my roommate until I know exactly what to say. I currently live in a 3-bedroom apartment, which I share with 2 roommates. We're all 20 SF, I found online. Our live-in relationship together has been difficult, to say the least, and I am mostly just biding my time until my lease is over and I can move out. Unfortunately, I cannot afford to break the lease. One roommate, who I will call Mildred, has caused the most trouble, be it through just overtly passive-aggressive battle tactics, physically manhandling my pet rabbit, resulting in a $300 vet bill which she did not pay a cent of, or throwing parties without giving me a lick of notice. I have a rabbit. She has 2 cats. Our 3rd roommate has a dog. She, Mildred, is not great at feeding her cats, and they are rather food aggressive as a result. They frequently started fights with our 3rd roommate's dog in order to get to his food. I'm an animal lover, but I really do feel like our apartment has reached its limit on new animal pals. Unfortunately, it does not seem as if Mildred feels the same way. She has recently ordered a pet giant African land snail off of the internet. I don't actually know how she got it here, they're illegal in the United States. How did it get through customs? But she managed to get it here. I didn't actually know about it for the first few months. We work on opposite schedules. I can often go weeks at a time without seeing her. But last week, it just appeared in our living room. Mildred has decided that her snail takes up too much space in her room, and has instead moved its tank to the living room. She did this without consulting me and asking if this was okay, which I think is a sign of blatant disrespect. I don't want a snail living in my living room, and I would have appreciated it if I had been asked about it. There's the added issue of the fact that it's an illegal animal. My boyfriend is getting his master's in ecology/biology, with a focus on invasive species, so you can imagine how thrilled he is about this invasive, illegal, snail staring at us while we try and watch Netflix. He has also voiced concerns about the fact that snails often carry parasites, such as ones that can cause meningitis, and is worried that one of the furry friends in the house may catch one of the parasites and pass it around. One of her cats likes to sleep in my bed. He doesn't want to hang out at my place anymore and has offered his home as a safe refuge for the bunny until my lease runs out in April. Regardless, I think I'm going to take him up on this, because, as I said before, Mildred is not gentle with my poor bunny, and will take him out of his pen without my permission when I'm not home. But there's also the layer of Mildred being an awful pet owner in general, so I know she's not going to take care of this snail, and eventually there will be a disgusting, stinky tank in my living room. What can I do about my situation? How do I approach this without making my living situation unbearably uncomfortable for the next 5 months? Part of me is just hoping that one of her cats eats it out of starvation, but I realize this isn't the best long-term solution. Commenter: First off, what the hell are all doing with a bunch of pets in a 3-bedroom apartment? My friend lives on a farm and you're one bovine short of matching his animal count. Second, yeah, it is weird. That would be deal-breaker weird. Who wants a giant fucking snail? I mental note that this is the roommate who has already accumulated 2 cats. Let's just say I reckon she'll be owning a few more in her lifetime. I have no idea. It started with her having the 1 cat. Then I found my bunny abandoned in a box in our building's lobby, and I'm a sucker for abandoned animals, so I took him in. Then she felt the need to one-up me, so she got another cat. Then our roommate's grandma died and she took in her dog, which I felt was too much. But I didn't feel comfortable saying no since I had brought a bunny into the mix, although to be fair, he just chills in my room and doesn't bother anyone. Anyway, I'm 99% sure that she has a snail to show off how quirky she is, because otherwise who would know? Her tattoo of a ice cream sundae and her 2 cats clearly wasn't enough to show off how much of a special snowflake she is. I'm definitely moving out when my lease is up in April. I'm going to call my landlord tomorrow. I'm sure she won't love an illegal snail living in her unit, and see what she can do, and I will also place a call with customs. It's a really nice apartment, so it would be sweet if she got evicted and then someone who's not crazy could come in. Update 1, 6 weeks later. I've been receiving a few messages wanting to know what happened, so here goes. I called my landlord the Monday following the post to explain the situation, and she was awesome about it. She informed me that she does an annual inspection of every apartment in our complex the 2nd week of January, so she'd deal with it then. So, I sent my bunny to live with my boyfriend and waited until then. Inspection day rolled around, and, shock of all shocks, our landlord stumbled across the illegal snail. She took it, and has told me it was dealt with by immigration, and evicted all of us from the apartment, because having an illegal, potentially parasite-carrying snail in your apartment is not allowed in the lease. Basically, she let us all break the lease, with no consequences. If the other two girls were going to contest the lease breaking, she was going to pursue further legal action, for having an illegal snail's potential parasites potentially impacting all of the units in the building. I don't know if my landlord really had much of a leg to stand on legal action, but it was enough to scare them out. I don't know where my other two roommates are living now, I don't really care either. She let me immediately sign back on to the apartment, which is awesome because it's a really killer apartment, well connected to transit, a 5-minute walk from my favorite restaurant, and only a 17-minute walk from my work, etc. My boyfriend moved in with me, and my best friend and his girlfriend are moving in February 1st. So we're going to have 2 couples living in a 3-bedroom apartment, which should be pretty okay. This apartment is huge, I cannot overstate its greatness enough. My bunny obviously came back too. We have no plans for further pets. All in all, this worked out great. Update 2. 10 years later. Hey, this was actually me on a throwaway many years ago. Parts of this post made me cringe BC of how judgy I come off, but I was 22, so I'm going to give myself a bit of grace there. I don't have much to add in terms of a 10 years later update, but if anyone's interested. The boyfriend I was with at the time and I broke up a long time ago. The bunny also unfortunately passed away about 6 months after this post. He started having occasional seizures out of nowhere and the vet wasn't able to get to the bottom of it before he passed away. I think maybe his seizure thing was pre-existing and that's why he was abandoned in the box. He was a great bunny though. My then best friend and his girlfriend never ended up moving in, which put us in a bind TBH. There was a lot of drama around them saying they'd move in but then not following through, so we haven't actually spoken in a decade, which is for the best. The ex-roommate blocked me on social media shortly following this, so I have no idea what she's up to. There was a rumor at one point that she had gotten a second snail and was trying to breed them to sell the snail babies, but it's largely unsubstantiated. Every so often I Google her out of curiosity, but can't find anything. She's completely fallen off the grid. Maybe she is living her best life as an illegal snail breeder? Maybe she's moved to Africa where her beloved snails are native to? Who knows? A coworker recently moved into that same building. I told her I used to live there and regaled her with the snail story. Apparently the leases now have a no illegal animals as pets clause, so it was kind of funny to find out about. My newish boyfriend of a year and I are moving in together in January. We're talking about getting a dog, but we definitely have a 2 max cap on the number of furry roommates we can handle. I'm 33 now and life is pretty boring and predictable TBH. So this was a fun blast of nostalgia about how weird and chaotic it was to be in my early 20s, so thanks for that. Also, I'm Canadian. I said I was American in the post in an attempt to protect my identity, Lamau. But land snails are illegal here too. Note, I was not exaggerating about how bad she was about feeding her cats, she was honestly the worst in every way. We weren't friends or anything before, I found her on Craigslist. It was a good life lesson on the dangers of Craigslist. There were also litter box issues and one of the cats loved to pee in my closet. But obviously I didn't just let her cats starve. I avoided home whenever possible because it was a hostile living environment, but when I was home I was always giving them extra food. I was 22 and I was doing my best for those cats, okay? Happy to validate my authenticity with more pics of my dearly departed bunny or something, but I swear this was me.